Hello and welcome back. I'm Nicole, a cottage witch, and today I'm filming my post-Christmas acquisitions. First thing on the list is a series of pine products. I'm going to make a flower essence but with pine, or I'm going to try to anyway. We'll see how it goes, because I've been working with pine lately. And when I was at home in Saskatchewan for Christmas, I found this pine cone candle, which I'll burn today. And then a couple of different pine cones. I think this is from a Mugo pine. I'm not sure about this one. And then I have some pine resin and pine needles already. So those are the things I'll use to make the essence. Okay, so now that that's going, this is a package that my brother and sister-in-law brought back to me from New Zealand. And it's mithril. It's pure New Zealand wool. It's got some sort of arrangement with the Hobbit movie. And it's just so pretty and soft, and yeah, I love it. So it's got, what is it called here? Oh, the Stanborough Hobbit bow fur scarf. So I'd have to look at the movie again to see. I assume Beaufort then wore a scarf that looked like this. I won't knit it, I'll crochet it. Probably just with, well, maybe double crochet with a bit of a rib situation. That's what it looks like they did with the knitting. Anyway, there's some affiliation with the movie, and it's super cute, and I love the colors. It's, yeah, so that'll be a fun winter project, which I might start today. The decks I got this month are the Soulmere Oracle and the Darkwood Tarot Mini. The Darkwood was one that I was thinking about getting for a long time, but I like this trend of producing minis because I've already pre-ordered the Wild Unknown Alchemy deck and the Rose Oracle, because they were both ones that I was considering but wasn't sure about, but for a smaller size and a smaller amount of money, which is the key element here, I thought, oh, I'll give them a try. And this is really tiny. It's the size of my Steampunk Tarot Mini, but I like it. I may edge it in black at some point or something, or brown or gray. I'm not sure. Or perhaps this burgundy color. We shall see. Anyway, it's always intrigued me, but I haven't used it yet, so we'll see about that one. And then the Soulmere Oracle was one that I actually pre-ordered in October, November, whenever it was available for pre-order, and it never came. It still hasn't come, so I had to reorder it, and I'll see if I can return the other one and still get the pre-order price if it ever does come. But it's just such an interesting take on an oracle, and it's edged in this matte gold, and it's mostly black and white with sometimes bits of color. Oops, those two are gonna stuck together. But it's an interesting style of oracle that I've never seen before, with a keyword and then two contrasting keywords underneath that. And I've started to use oracles to make tarot spreads, so I've considered using this for that. Some of these are a bit stuck together because of the gilding, I think. So I'll have to go through them and pull them apart a little bit later, but oh, that's so cute. Oh, Bored Curious. It's so interesting. So yeah, that's I will go through a bit later. But I saw it, I think I first saw it on Fairlight Tarot's channel, and it intrigued me. This is another thing that my mom got me for Christmas. I don't know if you can see the whole thing. It's a pillow that says, "Just a girl who loves books." which about sums me up. It's very soft and squishy and is going on my couch. It's cute. The other thing that she got me when she was in Italy was this journal, which is really beautiful. This paper was made by Scriba Venezia. There, whoops. Handcrafted journal here from this bookstore in Italy, and it's really beautiful. I don't know what I'm going to use it for yet, but I'll never turn down another journal. I'll use it for something eventually. But it's quite sturdy, it's very pretty, and this bookmark as well. I assume came from the same place, which is super cute. Okay. Then, what else? I actually had to ordered the 2024 Farmer's Almanac because the one that they had at Superstore in Canada was American. Figure that one out. So this is the Canadian edition, which is much more helpful because like the zones and forecasts and things for the US is not so helpful when you're this far north. Montana is probably the closest, but so it's got different events and forecasts and other random stories and just sort of witchy adjacent things, when to plant certain seeds. I like the bits about gardening. Oh, there's something about giant hogweed. Interesting. I'll have to read that. That is invasive around here, although I've never seen it in person. And food, yeah, sometimes they've got recipes. It's the funniest mashup of all sorts of things. But it's quite good and quite inexpensive. And yeah. Weather regions, yeah, so I'm on the prairies there. And then you can look up what it thinks the weather will be. 2 degrees below average. Well, I don't think the precipitation was quite accurate. So it's not a guarantee or anything. But yeah, and it's just got some weird, like, fun facts about things. And best days for growing things, frosts and growing seasons. Yeah, so for gardening, it's quite interesting. Weird classified ads. It's just such a funny, random mashup of things. So I've got that. And I've got a couple other books I'll read this winter. One is The Bones Fall in a Spiral by Martellus. I listened to a, I can't remember what sort of YouTube interview it was, because I listened to some by death doulas lately, and then I listened to one of hers, and I can't remember, maybe it was Ivy the Occultist who interviewed her, I can't remember, or them, I'm not sure what pronouns they use, I guess I shouldn't assume. But yeah, it's an interesting book. It's sort of just all about what different ways to work with death, what that even means, nature of the soul, different items, different practices, rites and rituals, path working, various beliefs that people may have, correspondences, and it's, yeah, tons of things. And then things you can make. So it seems like a really fascinating book to read in the winter when everything is dead, except my houseplants, hopefully. Then I got Death Nesting, The Heart-Centered Practices of a Death Doula. I had listened to a podcast with her, I think about some sort of YouTube interview or something. Anyway, it was really interesting to think about what death doulas do and the things that you should consider before you die. And so I got this just to learn more about that. Things that might reduce stress around the idea of dying, things that you want to do before you die or have prepared for your death, which may seem morbid, but is actually probably quite helpful both to you and the people around you. Because, for example, my grandma didn't have anything determined. I mean, she had a will, so that was helpful, but nobody knew what she wanted for her funeral or anything like that. So there were a lot of just several days of just answering questions that my parents and my uncle had to do when she passed. And it's quite stressful to do all that while you're grieving. So some of these things, you know, can be prepared in advance. And they're just useful to know about, because until you have to bury somebody, you don't know, you know, what things cost, how things are prepared, who you have to talk to about this, that, and the other. And it can be quite complicated. And so, yeah, I got this to find out more about all that sort of thing. And then, when I was at home in Saskatchewan over Christmas, I went to a couple of shops. I went to one called, excuse me, Sask Made, which is all made in Saskatchewan items, pottery, food, candles, all sorts of things, like bath and beauty products, just anything you can think of that's handmade is there. So one of the things I got is prairie berry tea. It's a herbal tea that has mostly Saskatoon berries and a few other things, and I really love it. It makes a wonderful iced tea in the summer. And then I got that pinecone candle and some Saskatoon berry chocolates, which I have eaten already. They were never going to make it as far as filming this video. And then I went to a bookstore nearby and got, this is a little book called Towards a Prairie Atonement. So I don't have the dust jacket anymore because it was all crinkled and water damaged. But basically, when it comes to conserving the prairies, there are things the government was supposed to do and didn't. There were promises it made to First Nations that it didn't fulfill, to do with conservation and many other things. And so this is looking towards atoning for some of that and taking care of the prairies. So that will be a fun little read. Then I got, at the Sask Made store, I also got this book, The Little Prairie Book of Berries, which has Saskatoon's sea buckthorn, haskaps, sour cherries, choke cherries, currants. Yeah, I think those are the ones. And so I've tabbed some things already that I want to make. For instance, haskap berry soup. If you've never had haskap berries or Saskatoons and have a chance, I really want to try the Saskatoon berry barbecue sauce. I've got some in the freezer, some Saskatoon berries, so I will try that sometime this winter. Saskatoon berry trifle. It's got some really fun things that I want to try. Choke cherry chutney, choke cherry. I've never used choke cherries much because you have to juice them because their pits are so enormous. And because they're so ridiculously sour that you can only eat like 2 or 3 at a time unless you're a little kid and ridiculous and you enjoy that sort of thing. They're not really great for just eating raw. Like Saskatoons I can eat raw, but I can eat them in a pie as well, or jam. Choke cherries though, I mean they grow everywhere around here, but choke cherry rosewater jelly, that sounds kind of interesting. Yeah, so anyway, and sea buckthorns I haven't used for a lot except for tea either, so it'll be fun to see what else you can do with them. And I got this little like pamphlet book. It was produced by the Saskatchewan Museum of Natural History, I think in, does it have a year? It doesn't even have a year. But it's Common Marsh Plants of Saskatchewan, so it's all the ones you'd find in marshy pond areas. Which are sometimes hard to find information about. Horsetail I've found around here. But some of these other ones I haven't looked around for much. There's only one marshy area I know about in Calgary, close to where I live. So I'll have to go, excuse me, and have a look and see if I can find any of these other plants. Grasses are another thing I want to try to identify a little bit. So yeah, I know where there are cattails and horsetail, so there must be some of these other species around as well. Silverweed, I haven't found this version of cinquefoil yet. I do want to try and find water hemlock and water parsnip for very different reasons. They're actually, this isn't old, the scientific names here are old. They're in the same family now, the parsley carrot family. And this one is extremely poisonous, and this one can cause problems if used incorrectly, but is also edible. I think this one is edible. I might be confusing this with cow parsnip. I'd have to look that up before. I've never eaten anything that I found wild in the parsley family because it's so dangerous if you confuse them. So yeah, I will have to do some more research if I can find them. Wild mint I've grown on my balcony, but I've never found that or skullcap wild. But it would be really interesting to do that because I'm a dork. The other dorky book I got was A Landowner's Guide to Conservation of Canadian Prairie Grasslands. Now, I'm not a landowner, unfortunately. But it's got some interesting, like, it defines the different types of prairie and what grows in those different types of prairie. Unfortunately, the greater prairie chicken is no longer found in Canada. That's too bad. So beautiful. Like, so some people look at that and think it's a boring landscape, but I love it. I love the big open sky. I think it's gorgeous. So then it's got mixed prairie and what you can expect from mixed prairie, like what type of plants generally grow there, what some of the main ones look like. And then it does that for a few other types of prairie as well. Fescue prairie and something else I can't remember. And here are the sandhills. I do not live near the sandhills. So some of the plants like creeping juniper, wild rose, aspen poplar, those we've got here. But some of the other ones like prickly pear cactus, I've never seen in the wild. Sandbar willow. Be interesting to see. And then it talks about some conservation. Whoops, this is pretty cool. Because I do want to learn the differences between different types of grasses and sedges and whatnot. And then how to assess, like, if you do own some land, how to assess what condition it's in, how healthy it is, and then how you can properly manage it, what the root systems look like of different types of managed land. It's pretty interesting. Some water preservation. They talk about controlled burns. They talk about the animals that live best in certain types of grasslands. Yeah, it's pretty interesting. So there's that. And then for Christmas, we do a gift exchange in my family now. So the person who got me a fountain pen that is silver and heavy and very pretty. It's beautiful. It writes very well. This is just the black cartridge that it comes with, so I'll use these up. I think are they all black? I think they're all black. Some of them might be blue. Yeah, I think some are blue, some are black, it looks like. So I'll use those all up first. Oops, that one fell out. And then get some fun ink from a shop near me. I've always wanted to try some of those inks with like shimmer or different colors in them, so I'll give that a go at some point. Whoops, come on. There we go. And then I got this book, which is Northern Wildflower, a memoir by Catherine Lafferty. She is Dene, which is a group of First Nations people who live in the north, in northern Alberta. I think maybe northern Saskatchewan and BC, and then the Northwest Territories. So pretty far north. So she's from the Northwest Territories. I've never been that far north. I'd love to go visit sometime. But she talks about her experiences. Yeah, and I don't really know much about the book except that it sort of, I read the back and was intrigued and thought it might be interesting. And I don't think I've read a book by a Dene person before. So, or at least a Dene, no, I have. I've read Richard Van Camp's books, but I haven't read a book by a Dene woman, I don't think. So that's on my list. And then the last thing I got was Julie Tabuli's Lebanese Kitchen, and I've got tabs for the things I'm gonna make soon, like today, and the things I'll make later. One of the things I want to make soon is hummus, because I thought for a while I didn't like it, and then realized I never had good hummus. Once I'd had good hummus, I was like, oh, okay, this is why people like it. So we'll make that. I'll make some, I've got the stuff for fattoush, and then I'll make some pita bread, and that will probably be my lunch for either today or tomorrow, depending on when I finish it all. And then it's got some fun other things. I'll make a za'atar mix, and then put that on this. She's got this ajin. I don't know how this is different from pita bread, but it looks like it's quite, oh, there's the pita bread. This I'm gonna try, which is that ajin bread that's sort of flat bread but not pita bread. And yeah, olive oil, za'atar, flour, and then the ajin bread, and I'm gonna try that because it looks tasty. I'll try making lebna because I've got the yogurt, and then I might try flavoring it. I'm used to the North American like fruity flavors of yogurt, so I may try garlic lovers or Herbalicious or za'atar, something like that, and then just dip vegetables and pita bread into that. That could be tasty. And they're all sorts of things in here. They're on my list of, like, doesn't that look tasty? So yeah, this is my next kitchen project. And if I've been unable to reach a local bookstore to find out if they're open on New Year's, because that's when I'm filming this. If they are, I will add in a section if I get anything there today. But before I do that, there are a couple other things that I brought home with me that I just about forgot about. Well, I did forget about and then restarted this video. That I got from my mom that she was clearing stuff out that she didn't want to keep anymore. These they're like moccasins, but gloves. They're really, I think this is some sort of leather. They've got a nice warm interior and then some really cute beadwork. And I don't know if this is real fur. These are really old, like probably from the 80s. Old. It's so soft though, and the beadwork is very cute and has held up really well for so many years. So I got those, and then I got brought home a fleece blanket that I'll insert pictures of, which has Canadian geese and pussy willows on it, and a moon or a sun, however you want to see it. And then one is like a daytime image, and then the inverse is the negative, the nighttime image, and I love it. It may become the new blanket on my couch. We'll see. Anyway, love that, so I had to insert that here. Okay, I did manage to make it to the bookstore, and I got this book, which is Most Delicious Poison: The Story of Nature's Toxins from Spices to Vices, which sounds interesting to me. So it's everything from coffee to red pepper to poppy seeds and foxglove and so on. There's just a whole list of things, and it's got some of the science, some of the uses, I think, and yeah, it seems pretty interesting. He's a biologist at the University of California. So yeah, that book I got, and then I also got a puzzle, which I don't know if you can see the whole thing here. It's called Stand-Up Puzzles, which I only heard of for the first time at my cousin's place over Christmas, because they had one. Well, a couple, I think. And anyway, it's a Canadian artwork, but it comes in this tube, and it's from, I think, made in Kelowna. Yeah, it's made in Kelowna, so it's not quite local, but it's pretty local. And then the artist is actually from Moose Jaw, where I lived for a few years. So that'll be fun. I'm working on a couple other puzzles right now, so I won't do that right away. And then the only other thing I got on the way home was, on the way home, I was hanging out with a lilac bush. And it is the middle of winter, but this bark was falling off, so I asked if I could take a little bit with me. And it's just fascinating bark, so I will add it to my bark collection because I'm a weirdo. Anyway, that's all for this one. If you've made it this far, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.